Hello everybody and welcome to A New Way to Museum at the Sternberg Museum. I am Alicia Gady. I am the naturalist here at the Sternberg Museum, so I take care of all of our live animals. So today we are going to talk about reptiles because that is pretty much what we have here at the museum. We have lots of snakes, and more snakes. We do have some lizards and stuff and turtles, but mainly snakes. So first with reptiles, as you can see, I have one in my hand. This is Pretzel. So she is a Great Plains rat snake. She is actually the oldest snake I have here. She is 20 years old. She has actually been here pretty much since the museum has opened. She was born here about 20 years ago. So she is, our favorite snake. She knows people. She does everything for us. And she is very friendly, obviously. She's not trying to bite me or anything. So first of all, let's talk about what a reptile is. So lots of people label reptiles as creepy crawlies as well. So reptiles are things like snakes, lizards, alligators, and turtles and tortoises. So things that reptiles need to have, obviously, is they have to have scales. So she's very shiny. Lots of people think that they are slimy, but they are not. So their scales are very dry. She's smooth, so she can move very easily, but she is not slimy. So they are dry and scaly. So they also have to be what we call ectotherms. So lots of people consider this cold-blooded. So ectotherm means that she can't, as well as all other reptiles, can't make their own body heat like we do. So they need to get it from outside sources. So basking in the sun, sitting on the road after a long hot day. So they're absorbing all that heat, and that's what makes them warm. And then vice versa, if they're too warm, they can't just cool themselves off like by sweating like mammals do. They have to find some other way. So digging in a deep hole, going to the water, something like that, so that they can cool down. So they also have to lay eggs. So some snakes can have live birth, but they still have the eggs inside of them, so they're not having live birth like humans do. But most snakes will lay eggs. So we do have a nice jar of eggs right here. So they are just preserved in alcohol. So they're soft now, but typically they're harder. All right, so reptiles, we are going to start off by talking about snakes because we do have so many here. Pretty much the entire wall behind me has snakes in it. So snakes, I will start by saying they are vertebrates, so they do have a backbone. And I say this because lots of people think that they don't have bones at all. And obviously I can see kind of where they're coming from because she is all sorts of wrapped around me. You wouldn't think that she has bones in there because our bones don't do this. And so we have this beautiful little snake skeleton here where you can see she has ribs and a backbone, just like us. They're a little bit wider. So what's really cool about their backbone, where ours, we have limited range of motion, they have like a really circular backbone, so they can do all sorts of things, obviously. And we have a little backbone here, so you can see how the little ball joints go together and everything. So they have really cool bones. They're very specialized. There you go. She can do all sorts of things. Smaller snakes can even go together even better than bigger snakes. And she's not a huge snake. She's about 3 feet long, but we have much bigger snakes here. Hi. So snakes are really cool. People think snakes are a whole lot of tail, and they're really not. So as you can see, even from this skeleton, this whole part up till here is her body. So she has a very long body and then a very short tail. So we know where her tail starts, obviously, on her, maybe, because of where her cloaca is. So her cloaca is what we would consider her bottom. It's where she poops out of and all that fun stuff. So it's down here, and this is her short tail. So she's got a very long body and a very short tail. So they are not all tails. Hi. Another thing about snakes is they cannot blink. So lots of people are afraid of snakes. They say that they can hypnotize you with their eyes. Well, they just don't blink. That doesn't mean that they're never sleeping, because they can just sleep. So what snakes have instead, I don't even know if my snake skin here has eyeballs. So they have skin over their eyes, just like the rest of them. So When a snake sheds their skin, they're also going to shed all of the skin over their eyes. And so eyes, lips, everything, it's all going to shed, and then she's just going to work it down her body. So when snakes shed, they're going to try to rub up against stuff, help anything to help get it off. So why snakes shed? We have a beautiful little shed here. They do it because they have to grow. So they're continuously growing. Obviously, if it's a baby snake, it's shedding maybe once a month because it's growing very rapidly. It's eating a lot. As they get older, they're going to start shedding less and less and less. So this snake that this particular skin came from is actually a coach whip. And so I know that because surprisingly, it actually has this great big long tail. So coach whips are known for having big tails. They're very whippy snakes. I wonder where the name came from. So this snake I've actually had for a year now, and this is the first shed I got out of her because she is older. She's not quite 20. Pretzel barely sheds, maybe every other month or so. But once they're getting older, they're growing pretty slowly. They're eating less and not doing a whole lot of stuff. So they don't need to shed as often, but this is a beautiful shed. I'm so happy that we got it in one piece. We clean it and then we dry it, and it's really fun for people to feel because it is kind of just like plastic. You wouldn't have thought it was real if I didn't tell you. So a lot of people are afraid of snakes because snakes get the reputation of biting. And I mean, if somebody came at me, I think my initial reaction would be try to bite them. But they are really just scared of us. So if you ever have been bitten by a snake, which I have been bitten by many, it doesn't hurt all that bad. They have these teeny tiny teeth that you really can't even see if you were to look in her mouth, and we do have one of it. So it's a really tiny tooth. It's very hard to see even when you're just looking at it. And the way we got that tooth is that we got bit by a snake and it actually got left in our skin. But you don't feel it. You might bleed a little bit depending on if you have a bigger snake or something, but it doesn't hurt. That's if it's a non-venomous snake. Now, obviously, if you get bit by a venomous snake, it's going to hurt a little bit more. They do have fangs on top of their other teeth, and they are a lot longer, and obviously, they're going to typically inject you with venom. So we do have venomous snakes here. We have a bunch of rattlesnakes, as well as a copperhead and a cottonmouth, but somebody else takes care of those, so I don't have to take care of them. So I get to really handle all of my snakes a lot. They're safe to handle this way. Most of them get held all the time and are very used to humans because we like to use them for programs. So snakes are very helpful for the environment because they like to eat lots of things that we would consider pests. They eat lots of rodents. Other smaller snakes eat lots of insects. And they just eat as much as they possibly can. So we definitely need to keep snakes around. So something else, you can see that she is just licking her tongue like crazy. So she's not, she's not thinking, I look tasty, but she is smelling with that tongue. So they have this thing called a Jacobson's organ, and it's on the top of their mouth. So as she licks, she is bringing the air back into her mouth, and she is tasting with the top of her mouth. So she is seeing what's going on around her. And so she is pretty awesome. So yes, the majority of the reptiles we have here are snakes. Can I put you away? But we also do have a few lizards. So most of the animals we have here that are on display are geared towards the Great Plains. So we do have lots of lizards in the Great Plains. But they tend to be smaller. They eat lots of insects, sometimes insects that are hard for us to keep here in captivity, as well as they are very good at hiding. So we don't typically have them here because we like to show people, and they hide really well, and it really stresses them out to be in captivity. We do have one lizard you would find in the Great Plains, and it's a cool lizard because most people think it is a snake. So this is a glass lizard. Hi, baby. So if you look at him, you notice something weird about him right away. He doesn't have any legs. So lots of people think he is a snake. So glass lizards have lost their legs for whatever reason. It makes their life easier and whatnot. But we can tell he is a lizard by the fact that he actually has ears. So snakes do not have ears. They do not hear us. And he can actually close his eyes. So he has eyelids. And so as well as if you were to pick this guy up, you can see that he has a short body, then his cloaca, and then he has a really long tail. So if you look at them closely, you can easily tell that they are not lizards. I mean, they are not snakes, they are lizards. But they still get, the same scared rap as snakes. So that is the only small lizard we have around here. Other lizards we have here are actually pretty cool. We have 2 Mertens water monitors. So those are obviously a monitor lizard. So if you think of monitor lizards, people typically think of the Komodo dragon. So they are not as big as a Komodo dragon, but they are as cool as a Komodo dragon. So we have 2, a female and a male. Their names are Rex, and that's the male, and Raptor, and that's the female. So they are semi-aquatic lizards. They love to swim, and they just so happen to be pretty closely related to snakes. So they have a very flexible backbone, just like snakes do. We can look at them swim. They swim kind of like a snake. They just throw their legs back, and then they go about their business. And so it's really cool. So our monitor lizards, they do something really cool. So when lizards are running, they actually cannot breathe. So if you see a lizard run, it runs in a really short burst, and then it stops, because the way that they move their body side to side, they cannot breathe and run at the same time. So monitor lizards have kind of found a way around that. So that is called the carrier's constraint. So monitor lizards do this thing, and hopefully we can get to see it, is they will breathe with their neck. So when you think of a frog or a toad, you see their little chins going crazy. So it's kind of something like that, and it's called the gular pumping. So they're using their neck to help them breathe while they're running. So they can run away from us a lot faster than other lizards and much farther. So that's why we need to keep a handle on our monitor lizards. And so our monitor lizards are awesome. They do have great big claws, but they are typically handled by us. So they are pretty used to people. They do get a little bit startled by strangers. They are only about 3 years old and have only been on display for a couple months. So they're still getting used to it. But we do have another lizard here, and she is also very special. Her name is Queso, and she is a Gila monster. So you look at her name, it looks like Gila monster, but she is a Gila monster. So Gila monsters are actually venomous lizards. So back in the day, it was thought that there was only 2 venomous lizards in the world. That would have been the Mexican beaded lizard and Gila monsters. Now it's a lot more known that most lizards are actually venomous, but not quite how you think of rattlesnakes being venomous. So they don't have fangs that they're going to inject venom into you. The Gila monster actually has to chew on you, and then that venom is going to be in her saliva, and so she's going to chew on you, and it's going to get into your skin. But Gila monsters don't really use this venom in terms of getting food. It's more of, stay away from me, I'm dangerous, please don't eat me. And you can also see that with her beautiful, bright colorations. A lot of them are orange, red, and pink. And so really it's just a, please stay away from me type of defense, because she does eat lots of eggs. So she is a very slow-looking lizard, kind of fat and cute. She likes to eat eggs. She's very good at going into burrows and stealing eggs. So she doesn't really typically have to hunt for mice, but they can, and they can use the venom for that. But also they have just really sharp teeth. So they can be dangerous. When we handle ours, we always wear gloves. She has never bit anybody. She is very sweet. Mainly she just really likes to soak in her water, and she loves to dig. So she's a very interesting lizard in terms of I have to keep her cage changing all the time so that she can change it again on me. So that's fun. So yes, we have very interesting lizards here and very interesting snakes, even though they're typical snakes that you'd see around here. I think they're cool. Even more so, we have some very cool turtles. So let me just pull this loud lady behind me up. So we have lots of turtles here, mainly because people get them as pets and then can't take care of them anymore. So this is actually Ladybug. She was actually donated to us. So she looks a little silly. She is a red-eared slider. I'm gonna go. But she looks a little silly. She is actually albino. Where are you going? So that means that she doesn't have any pigment to her skin. So typically albino animals are the yellow and pink, and they have the red eyes. So we are so happy she was donated to us because she is an absolute sweetheart. she is not a display animal because she is a program animal, and we just hang out with her all day. So if we're ever not working with animals, if we're sitting at our desk or anything, she is hanging out with us. And we actually have 3 other red-eared sliders in the back on top of her. So we have lots of those, and they're pretty typical. Their shells are really cool. So obviously you look at her and you don't really see all that many scales and whatnot, but she does have them. They're just modified into her shell. And so turtles actually have, their shell is part of their body. So I have lots of kids who think turtles will grow, they'll leave their shell and they'll go find a new one somewhere. But their shell is growing with them. The shell is their ribs. They are born with it, they grow with it. And so all of this, as you can see, her backbone is fused to it, her arms and all of her ribs are part of her shell. So she needs it, all turtles need it, and tortoises as well. And we actually do have tortoises here. So if you look at her, she's got these beautiful feet that are obviously made for swimming. She loves to swim, and she's very good at it. She likes to live around the water. So that's where most turtles are found, is around the water. Whereas we have our tortoises who, they can swim. They're not going to just sink. They have lots of air that will help them float, but they're not quite as good at swimming as you would say a red-eared slider is. So tortoises have more of the round shell and stuff like that. So our tortoises are named Darius and Pebbles. So Pebbles is our female. She's obviously smaller, and she is 68 years old. Darius is our male. He is very big, and he is actually only 20 years old. So there's a huge age difference between them, and people are always shocked that Darius is so much bigger, but males are just bigger than females and tortoises. And so Pebbles, 68, lots of people think, yeah, that's old. It is pretty old, but tortoises can live to be 150, so we could have many, many more years with Pebbles, so we don't know. And we just love the tortoises. They are so interesting. They always want food, they always want scratched, and they are just a real hit for people around here. So hopefully later on we can learn more about them because they are just so much fun. But that is all I have for reptiles today, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of them and meeting some of them, and hopefully in later videos we can meet lots of them because we have so many of them. So that is all I have. So thank you guys and have a good day.
Thanks for joining us in A New Way to Museum with the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell for notifications when we release a new video. Support us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. You can also follow us on all our social media. Links are found in the description. Thanks for watching, and follow your curiosity to new discoveries.